I have found the most evil villains in movie history. The race is over. It's over. Edna is directed by Ronnie Lazaro, written by Layeta Bukoy, and stars Irma Adlawan among a lot of other people. And in Edna, Irma Adlawan plays the title character, who is this overseas Filipino worker mother who comes home from abroad bearing gifts and just love for her family, and she wants to quit her job and just stay there with them full time, just take care of them, but she can't do this because her family is evil. Like they are so unreasonably disrespectful, and they just use her and take her for granted the entire time, so she begins to slowly go insane. And I went in this movie thinking that it was going to be like a standard OFW drama kind of thing, and oh my god, it's not what I got at all. And despite how unique it was, I ultimately didn't really like the movie that much, because while Irma Adlawan is really really great in this role, I really was just bothered a lot by how the editing for me was really messy, and the writing for me just really was not good, especially with the characters. There's really just something off with the way this movie is paced and edited. Like, there are certain scenes that go on for just absolutely too long, and you don't get any substance out of like these extra seconds that are on screen. But really, most of the scenes in the movie feel disconnected from one another. It just feels like you're jumping from one bad situation with this one family member to the next, without really a real kind of progression of Edna's downward spiral. It just feels like this movie is just taking everything and just throwing it at her like at the same time. And there's like no feeling of hope throughout the movie, so it doesn't really feel like she's fighting to get out of this situation, and you just end up hating everyone and everything without really understanding the reasons why these things are happening. And I know that the screenwriter Layeta Bukoy is this award-winning playwright, but I really just didn't like how this movie is written. I mean, the plot itself is made up of several different arcs and subplots that are all kind of engineered to just be unbelievably devastating for this woman. And they're all, my issue is all these situations are out of her control. Like, she doesn't really have anything to do that'll help her get out of the situation. So it's really pretty much these people kicking her while she's down. And really, all of this is done just so there's a reason for her to kind of go insane by the end. And that would have worked for another kind of movie. It would have worked if we actually cared about this character for reasons other than the fact that she has the worst family imaginable. And speaking of this family, the way these characters are written is just so bad. I mean, the character of Edna herself is a bit underwritten, but I don't even mind that because the family is just so evil in such an over-the-top and in-your-face way that you have zero respect for all the people here. I understand you can hate a villain, but for me, you have to buy their villainy. You have to understand, their motivations and whatnot. And here, it just feels like they're being terrible to their mother for no reason at all. And I hated all of them. And all the other actors here, aside from Adlawan, really don't do anything to help make their characters more human or sympathetic. You can't always blame the script like 100% for a badly realized character, because it's also the actors' responsibility to kind of inject humanity into their characters, no matter how underwritten they are. Like a moment's hesitance or showing that the character is conflicted can really add depth to this character, but none of them do that. And in terms of directing, it's kind of clear that Ronnie Lazaro kind of just fixed the camera to certain spots while he acted in the scenes, which I feel like is a common mistake for a lot of actors turned first-time directors. So a lot of the scenes feel a bit flat direction-wise. But really, for a movie about a woman going crazy, I feel like the direction needed to be a bit more dynamic, a bit crazier also. However, while the negatives I have with the movie are really, really bad, I ultimately can't say that Edna is a bad movie straight up, because it does have good things to it. To the film's credit, there's a really good use of sound in the movie as like noise or distortion, so you really kind of get into Edna's headspace when she's dealing with these things. There's also lots of surprisingly haunting shots throughout the movie, especially when the movie suddenly becomes black and white halfway through. Like, just one scene passes by and suddenly everything is black and white, which is really cool. I kind of wish they eased us into the black and white, but then again, like, the jarring shift kind of does work for, the subject matter here. And of course, the best part of this movie is Irma Adlawan. She is fantastic. She's completely overqualified for this movie. When she plays this mother, you really feel like genuine emotion. You really feel like she cares for these people. but when she starts going crazy, you also buy her still as a fully fleshed out human being. She's crazy, but you understand why. But ultimately, in the end, I would say that Edna, it's not really a good movie, unfortunately. Although kudos for these filmmakers putting out like an original local movie in theaters for once. So I hope that keeps on happening, except with like better results. Alright, so those are my thoughts on Edna. Have you guys seen it? What do you think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Whatever you thought, whether you agree with me or not, please leave me a comment. Let's have a conversation.